So we're now ready to bring you the details of the news. We'll have to start with the Volta River Authority that has had complaints that increases in electricity tariffs are not enough, and one, they may be forced to ration power. Well, we'll see, even though there have been some incessant complaints from the consumers as well, me and the other consumers around.
Another news, government of Ghana broadcast the deal to enable net offload shares in a line in STC.
Well, so we all know that it is the Muslim festival of Eid al-Adha, and so Baraka di Salah to all Muslim worshippers around the world and also in Ghana, as many of them are gathering around mosques for dawn prayers to mark the day Eid al-Adha. Well, Eid al-Adha, the Feast of Sacrifice, marks the end of Hajj, an annual pilgrimage undertaken by some 1.5 million Muslims this year in Saudi Arabia. The holiday commemorates Prophet Abraham's willingness to obey God's command to sacrifice his son Ishmael, and this time we have to say Ishmael, and we say Barakah di Salah to our Muslim brethren, and may Allah bless and protect all of you.
Let's look at the LEAP beneficiaries. Thus, the growing urban poverty has been identified as one of the major threats to economic growth in developing countries such as Ghana, where many citizens engage in the daily struggle to find money just they can afford the basic necessities of life. For such persons, government interventions such as LEAP, which gave out a little as 24 Ghana cedis a month, makes a world of difference, even though it does not easily really count for much. One such LEAP cash out exercise, Joy News here for Sua Jemfi caught up with a family that had been waiting for 3 years to receive this first handout to find out what the stipend means to them.
Victor Kwade and his wife, Victoria, have been living in this single room at Choco for the past 10 years. Victor has been crippled since childhood, but at 51 years, he has a family of 8, including 6 children, with the oldest being 14 and the youngest at age 3. The 3 youngest children are idling about at home today because they tell me their parents do not have any money to send them off. Belinda, why didn't you go to school today? Victor's wheelchair, meanwhile, can no longer support his commute in the neighborhood because the rubber tubes on the tires have all come off. Victoria, the wife, does not have a permanent job, but goes about engaging in chores for people in the community. The meager wages she gets, she says, is what keeps the family going.
For
Victor, life has not been easy at all. He talks about his 3-year wait for today's handout.
3 years na independence no. Pensa ba ku kifena
They are excited to have finally received their 120 Ghana cedis, even though it represents benefits accumulated over 4 months. They, however, wish they would get more.
Kefale ratano nke ko ba isama ka shweshkin agbe kan bi ania inform kan bi enkefa aje fa nkwa manye ka kwa chu shefa.
In line with its national social protection strategy, the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection has disbursed some social grants under the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty to support the extremely poor, disabled and vulnerable in the population. With the challenge of LEAP not having consistent flow of cash, Sector Minister Nana Oyelitha plans to engage the Finance Ministry on ways to improve the system of payment to beneficiaries. Over 72,000 households are beneficiaries under the LEAP program.
We're expanding. We started with 1,600 in 2008. We are now at 72,000. We're expanding to 100,000 by December and then 150,000 by April 2014. How regularly we are able to pay, I think that is a very big challenge, but we've engaged with the Ministry of Finance and we're working on that.
The LEAP cash payment, which commenced on Monday, October 14, would be rolled out in 100 districts across the country.
Well, talking about cash, a lot more of you consumers will need a lot more cash to be paying those hikes in tariffs. Well, one of those main providers of electricity, or the main provider, the Volta River Authority, has described the recent increase in electricity tariffs awarded them by the PRC, that is the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, as inadequate to meet its costs, and is threatening to resort to power rationing unless they are reviewed upwards. At a news conference addressed by its acting chief executive, it says though it requires a minimum tariff of 16 pesos to produce a kilowatt hour of electricity, the PRC awarded it less than 12 pesos. Engineer Kek Kofi explains the revenue from the current tariff will not be enough to buy even crude oil for the operations.
The 11.49 pesos awarded it by the PURC cannot meet the 15.78 pesos cost of generation, which is even exclusive of maintenance and overhead costs.
In our representation to the PRC, we had argued that even the cost of crude oil should get our tariff to 15.78 pesos per kilowatt hour. It must be noted that this cost did not include maintenance and overhead costs. The VRA's year-to-date average cost of production, including maintenance and overall costs, is weighted average of about 19.2 pesos per kilowatt hour, which is less than the 30% of what VR asks for. With the PRA's approved rate of 36%, what we receive is just 11.5 pesos per kilowatt hours of electricity produced. Regrettably, even with the current bulk generation tariff of 36%, total revenue stands at $900 million, while the authority's fuel bill alone stands at $1.3 billion, creating a deficit of about $400 billion.
The authority, meanwhile, says the automatic tariff adjustment formula should not be tampered with so that future increases would be moderated and made more bearable for consumers rather than the one-off increase.
It must be noted that since the last quarter of 2011, the PRC had imposed a freeze on quarterly tariff adjustment in spite of rapid depreciation of the cedi against the dollar, explosion in fuel costs, and large volumes of crude oil purchases, and problems associated with natural gas supply for Nigeria. We believe that the way forward is for the PRC to apply the automatic tariff adjustment formula to allow for gradual tariff increase and thus give a breather to electricity consumers. This approach is sustainable and economically manageable. While we sympathize with the public dissatisfaction with the current electricity tariff increase, we believe that we must be careful not to take any action to deter private or even government investment in the energy sector.
He emphasized that even with the 36% tariff adjustment, the VRA is putting in place workable measures to give Ghanaians quality service.
Government is expected to put before Parliament a Mineral Development Fund bill which will regulate how royalties from mineral resources are used. Ministers for Lands and Natural Resources Alhaji Nusa Hussaini tells Joy Business it is unexpected that revenue occurring from mineral royalties are used for recurrent expenditure.
Government itself is developing a law, a Minerals Development Fund law, to take care of royalties that are ceded to the subnational level. That law simply will benchmark and track revenues that go to those levels. So if, for instance, $1 million is transferred to mining communities or areas where exploitation of mineral resources is taking place, it should be able to track the expenditure of the 100 million. The government has already developed policy guidelines on where the money can go. It is no longer acceptable for the District Assembly to use mineral royalties for the payment of salaries. The Minister of Finance has completed his comments on the law. The draft law has been sent to the Attorney General's office for them to do the final cleanup, and then we forward it to Parliament, to Cabinet for Cabinet approval, and thereafter to Parliament for Parliament to have a look at it. I'm sure when Parliament next reconvenes, by the time they go on recess, the law should be in Parliament.
Government and the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, NIT, well, they've reached a compromise on how the latter should dispose of its stake in the ailing Intercity STC Coaches Limited. The Director of Road Transport at the Ministry of Transport, Robert Kumi, told the Graphic Business that the two shareholders recently agreed that government, the 20% shareholder, should look for a strategic partner to buy SNIT out of the transport service provider company. The search for that strategic partner is set to start soon. Kumi said, adding, it will very likely conclude before the end of the year. He could, however, not say if SNIT intends exiting STC completely or will keep part of its current 80% stake in the company. J Plant Pool, which distributes Yutong buses in the country, has long expressed interest in buying STC should the opportunity arise.
The Kotokaba police in Cape Coast are on a hunt for armed robbers who attacked the teachers' quarters at the Ghana National College in Cape Coast, wounding 2 teachers in the process. The robbers who besieged the school Monday dawn demanded car keys, laptops and mobile phones of teachers.
We'll now take you to the Eastern region. We all know there's a standoff, chieftaincy standoff somehow. And the Eastern Regional House of Chiefs insists Dasibre Dr. Otibuating is still the paramount chief of New Drabing traditional area. The vice president of the Regional House of Chiefs, Nana Osenyako, maintained that sub-chiefs who claim to have destooled him acted with impunity. 10 destooled sub-chiefs of the area on Monday performed rituals to signal the destoolment of the paramount chief. The aggrieved chiefs who accused Dr. Otibuating of engaging in conduct that contravenes values and traditions of the area slaughtered a ram, poured libation, and invoked the great oath of the Asante Hene.
Now, there is no winner for this year's Mo Ibrahim Prize for Achievement in African Leadership Ghana. However, ranked 7th out of 52 countries featured on the 2013 Ibrahim Index of Africa Governments, which assesses performance in terms of safety and rule of law, participation and human rights, sustainable economy, opportunity and human development. At a press conference in London yesterday, Dr. Salem Salem, chairman of the award committee, said every African head of state or government who retired in the last 3 years was considered. This is the 4th time the foundation has failed to find a suitable candidate.
Well, so we're back on air, and please get interactive in the course of this whole show, the AM show, of course, live on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. We have the platforms made available for you. We have 1760, the short code for all networks, and if you're on WhatsApp,
that's 0544 3347.
And if you are an ardent user of Facebook and Twitter, very easy. We have a page on Facebook. It's called The Joy News
Online. And my personal handle, Akosi Akonedo on Facebook, and Roland, Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know my handle on Twitter?
Yes, Roll Walker.
Roll Walker Ghana.
Yeah.
Roll Walker Ghana. So please get interactive. And in the course of this whole program, we relay some of those messages for you. But right now, what do we have to do?
Sports.
Okay, we have to do sports.
Football.
So we all know the Black Stars.
Yay, today.
Well, they're gearing up for that match in the next 10 hours or so, if not less. They'll be facing...
What time is it? 3?
I think it's around 4 to 5. Rashidat Kadiri should be able to tell us. Mrs. Rashidat Sando.
Andor.
Okay, so we just leave the name out. Rashidat, we'll get it later. She's trying to speak to us through the mic, you know. But we're ready for some sports, and so just in a jiffy.
Welcome back, and up next we're looking at sports.
And we straight away will have to hit your screens, and we know all is set for that encounter in Kumasi. And well, we're going to see who will get to the World Cup from this very tie. And Ghana, the Black Stars, are meeting the Pharaohs of Egypt. And just in a little over or a little less than 10 hours, we're going to have that match in the Baba Yara Stadium in Kumasi.
And then Ghana is not leaving anything to chance over the two-leg tie. Football Association President Kwesi Nyantakyi, she has been speaking to Joy Sports.
Well, we will be getting to Kwesi Nyantakyi very soon. But before we do that, our man, Tony Bebley, is on the line from Kumasi. A very good morning to you, Tony.
The Germans will say Guten Morgen to everybody in Accra.
You're almost sounding like a German in Kezai or say Chrome. That sounds very fascinating. Any other phrase you can speak in German?
Oh, I said, ich schlafe gut, aber trinke Tee heute.
Yeah, vermisse her. Okay, so, Tony, just tell me what really is the atmosphere in Kumasi? Because throughout the whole of yesterday, I could hear you on radio and TV speaking all about the atmosphere. Just tell us, just some few hours to the game, what it is.
Since yesterday, as I just said, words can't describe the atmosphere in Kumasi. Electrifying, ecstatic. I mean, you can't believe it. That is the town when it comes to football, everybody wished up to respond to it. Can you imagine that since last Saturday, tickets have been sold out, people are clamoring for tickets, and then tickets have been totally sold out, invitations all given out, and everybody is getting up for this evening's big game because everybody is saying now we now have business for Brazil 2014. But where are the tickets?
Well, Tony, we seem to be having some difficulty with the line there. But when we get him back onto the line, we'll want to ask him, with all the preparations that the Black Stars have undertaken, what is the sign that they're really ready for this very game? Tony, are you on the line? Well, we're having some difficulties, but Tony will be back on the line. But before then, we spoke to Kwesi Nyantakyi, and we know Kwesi Nyantakyi is the president of the Ghana Football Association.
Yes, and Ghana is not really leaving anything to chance over the two-leg tie. Football Association Kwesi Nyantakyi has been speaking to Joy Sports.
Major injury concern in the team. Footballers carry minor injuries, knocks here and there. But as far as an injury that can disable somebody from playing is concerned, we have none. The morale is very, very high. The boys are very nice with each other. Each one is the brother or keeper of the other. And they relate very well, very, very well. They talk about the match, they think together about the match, and they are going to play together as a team for the match. We learned about it only 2 days ago. We didn't know. We had indicated to the hotel management that we would like to stay in this hotel alone. You know, even the Egyptian national team wanted to lodge here. we protested against that it was not conducive for two competing teams. It's not allowed for two competing teams to stay in the same hotel for a one-match situation. It happens in situations of competition like a tournament, yeah. But when it's a one match like this, because of security and other concerns, you don't allow that. But suddenly we saw them 2 days ago, and so we drew the attention of management and our displeasure with the situation. Apparently the rooms were booked long ago by a travel and tour operator, I think in Egypt. So the hotel may not even have known that there were Egyptians coming. But having gotten to know that, they have put them in a block far away from our block. It's not easy to establish a link directly between where they sleep and where we sleep.
Well, so the president of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantakyi, giving us all the details as to what the proximity is between the Black Stars and the Pharaohs of Egypt. Well, it doesn't matter, does it? What matters is what is done on the pitch. And one man who will be very much in the mix is the coach of the Egyptian national team, Bob Bradley. And he's very optimistic. His charges will just nick it in the nick of time.
Egypt, these players have experience playing against Ghana, so anything that took place in South Africa with the U.S. doesn't apply now with this team.
Bob, you've monitored the injury situation in the Black Stars camp, but is it going to be a plus for you?
They have depth, but still, when you lose important players, it changes things. So I'm sure they have a plan, but you know, we certainly are just trying to concentrate on making sure we're ready to go.
Ahead of the game, many pundits have been speaking, offering words of advice, encouragement, and support. One of said people is former Black Stars defender and Ghana international Samuel Osei Kufuor. We're so sorry for us down there. Now, former player CK Akono Gesina Himfo have been speaking about the game. So what really do you think will happen today?
I can tell you, I have this godfather of mine, Alhaji Yakubu, currently in Tamale.
Yeah.
And Barakade Salah to you, Alhaji. And he says the Black Stars will be the winners for tonight's game.
But you know, Egypt really needs it too. I think
we all
the
need
political
it.
turmoil
We all
now.
need it. Well, everybody has a need.
But yes, of course, we should win this game. Ghana will have to come out as a winner.
We have to.